The town of Acari is located on the Peruvian south coast, within the northern reaches of the Great Atacama Desert. The town sits at an elevation of just over 1,200 feet, about 20 miles inland from the Pacific Ocean. I spent some time there in 1987 while participating in an archaeological study of the Acari Valley with the late Fritz Riddell. At the time, Acari was a remote little town, well off the beaten path and populated by about 5,000 or so poor but otherwise happy and friendly people. Acari's mayor at the time, a man by the name of Raul Carcamagranda, was one of the friendliest of the townspeople. I met him on a number of occasions. When I was there, the mayor had just arranged to have a public telephone service established in Acari, and construction of the facility was set to begin later in the year. Once the phone service was in place, the townspeople would be able to come to the telephone office and place a call using the only public phone in the region. Everyone was excited about this new development, not the least of which was Mayor Grunda. Without phone service, Acari was an even more isolated community. In fact, while I was there, the only news that arrived from the outside world concerned the death of Fred Astaire. Imagine that. At the time, Presidents Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev were engaged in discussions of international nuclear disarmament. I heard no news about that, but I heard almost instantly that Fred Astaire had died. I figured that was telling. Dancers like Fred Astaire are beloved and perhaps relevant. Political leaders, not so much. While I was in Acari, President Reagan made his famous "Tear Down This Wall" speech in front of the Brandenburg Gate at the Berlin Wall. But I didn't hear about it at the time, nor did I even hear any news about the Peruvian military's ongoing war with the Sendero Luminoso, the Shining Path. I only heard the news about Fred Astaire. In 1987, our archaeological crew was well aware that the guerrillas were operating in the mountains to the east of us. We were careful when traveling away from the coast, but felt safe while in Acari. 3 years later, just a few days after Christmas, the Sendero Luminoso came to town. A large number of armed guerrillas stormed Acari in the middle of the night. They looted shops and destroyed several of the government-owned buildings with explosives, including the building that housed the new public telephone. And they murdered several people, including Mayor Granda. The mayor was pulled from his bed and then killed in the middle of the street. It was a real tragedy for the townspeople. The mayor was loved by the community, and the telephone that he had worked to secure for Acari had been a welcome improvement. He also helped bring lights and television to his town. As luck would have it, one of our archaeological crews had just departed Acari, days before the guerrillas attacked. I've often wondered what might have been their fate if they had stayed longer. I'm glad they weren't there when the Maoists came. It would be a few years before the archaeologists returned to Acari, but eventually they returned. Today, Acari boasts a small archaeological museum named for Fritz Riddell. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to work with Fritz in Acari. He's well remembered there.